What's up, Speedy's Garage gang? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. Out on a little field trip today. Obviously, some of you have asked, why haven't I been going to the track? And it seemed like I went to the track more in the Hellcat than I have been the Demon 170. Well, it's not because I didn't want to be at the track. It's just the weather for some reason this year has been really weird. There were two pretty significant events that I like to go to, and weather impacted both of them. The first one was the NMCA Hemi Shootout. I really enjoyed that event, and rain moved in and sort of gave them trouble on Friday and Saturday, and that meant they crammed all the racing into Sunday. And I don't know if you've ever been to a racing event where that happens, but it's no fun, honestly. It just becomes way too hectic and nerve-wracking, to be honest. So I skipped that one, and unfortunately the weather later impacted them again, and NMCA has actually closed up shop as a result. They decided to call it quits. I don't know who's taking over for their racing series that they had. I'm hoping someone does and they continue that Hemi racing event. The second one, of course, was Mo Party, and I was really looking forward to it. And drought all summer long, almost no rain after a really wet spring, all summer drought, and then boom, hurricanes start coming through. And where I live, you know, I have to drive my car. I do drive my car to the track until I figure out a trailer situation. Driving it today to Beech Bend, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and it was pouring down rain where I lived, and all the forecasts said 95%, 98% chance of rain in Bowling Green. But looking at the weather on Friday, it looked like there might be a chance it could be okay. So Crew Chief Greg and I just went up and hung out for a little while. I didn't take the car, and they ended up getting lucky and having really nice weather. So I missed out on getting to race in that. So I've only been at the track once in this car this year, so I'm going back today. I'll usually try to have a game plan, but Beech Bend's not known for their phenomenal track prep on test and tune days. So my goal today is to work on the 60 foot, get a little more comfortable with the car. I was super comfortable in the Hellcat because I'd made so many passes in it. I want to get to that same point in this Demon so that when I do go to racing events, it's all muscle memory and everything just works. Now, the nice thing about this car is it does a lot of things for me that I had to do manually in the Hellcat. It's got the chiller that cools everything down. When you put it in drag mode, it turns on a bunch of stuff, line lock and all that gets enabled, and you can use those features very easily, where in the Hellcat I had to do some of that manually. I've got the trans brake where I can adjust the tune on the fly. I got an A, a B, and a C. I'll call it a map by default. I'll probably start with just a foot brake today to kind of test the track and see how it is, and then try to start practicing with that trans brake. I had pretty good luck with it last time, but the goal today is to focus on the 60 foot. We'll see how it goes. And some of you have asked, what have I done to the car? And the answer is nothing. I've done a couple of oil changes, and I'll link back to that. If you missed the last one, I actually did an oil analysis just to see how things were going, and drive the car. I haven't even changed the spark plugs or adjusted them or adjusted the gap or any of that. And for whatever reason, mine seems to be just fine, knock on wood. All right, here we go. My first pass. I got to get the first pass jitters out all over again because it's been so long since I've been to the track. Gentleman in the red car over there is Gary. He came over and said hi to me. Said he follows the channel. I got him interested in racing his car, which is a good thing. Baby, that was a pretty good run. Woo! I love this car. Woo! Baby, that was a pretty good run. That was a pretty good run. Tried a little something different there. We're gonna see what the 60 foot looks like. But that's the money right there, man. The track was pretty good. Did a good burnout. Let's see what we got. Hello, sir. Thank you. Oh yeah. First pass, a 944 at 147.52. So I've already reset my personal best in this car. A 145 60 foot. I think we can do better. 612 at 118 in the 8th. So the mile per hour is there. Car's making some great power. I just got to whittle on that 60 foot. Here we go, second pass. I'm loving the cool down feature, because before I'd be sort of stressing about having to idle the car in the staging lanes. Now, idling the car in the staging lanes is actually cooling it off. I'm going to try pretty much what I did the first time, but I'm going to be a little more aggressive on the launch and just see how I do. That's still a good run. I felt it pull the wheels on that one. I'm Speedy. Thank you. All right, let's see what we got. Whoa, whoa! 929. I just ran a 929. I had a 1.31 60 foot. I did red light by 0.08. Holy moly, a 929. 929. I'm super happy with that. A 131 60 foot. Now we're talking. Here we go. My last run, I think. Had two good ones. This will be my third. Track was no good. Oh, well, that sucks. Well, I got two really good runs. It just lit the tires up on that last one. I don't know what happened. Win some, you lose some. I got two good ones. I'm tempted to try to make one more. That was the throwaway. Yeah, reaction time was good. 0.03. 60 foot was a 181, and I knew it spun bad. I just let out of it. Oh well, I gotta think about what to do. Well, I did decide to go ahead and call it a day after that third run. Beech Bend can be a little interesting, and the way the track is positioned, as the sun moves over the west side, the bleachers on that side can actually start to block the sun, and in this type of weather, that part of the track can cool off and it can get a little weird. They were going to run until dark is what they said, but in my experience in the fall, once the sun starts to go down, you're not going to run better usually than you have earlier in the day. And when I blew the tires off so bad, as you saw on that last pass, I decided to wrap it up and just get home a little bit earlier. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive. So I left the track about 3, got home about 5 o'clock, and it worked out pretty good. I did go ahead and give the 170 a spa day, for lack of a better term. And a lot of people always ask me, like, you take your car to the track, how do you keep it so clean? Well, it just takes, it takes a little bit of effort and discipline, to be honest. After you get home from the track, that's probably one of the dirtiest environments I take my cars to, with all the rubber and everything. Having it ceramic coated does make a huge difference. And I also ceramic coated the fender liners and all the suspension back there, the shocks and everything on the rear of the car. And that basically lets me just pressure wash the rubber off the car when I get home, and I use a little soft brush to scrub out the wheel well liners, and it's clean, good as new, better than new, to be honest. I've already done that, got the 170 all cleaned up in and out. I like to go ahead and take a look at my time slips and my data logs when I get back home. For those of you that are channel members, I'll probably do a separate video just to go over the data logs and tell you some of the things I have learned now that I've been out to the track in the 170 for my second time. And I'm starting to improve a lot based on the first time I went out. So been around these cars a little while, you start to learn pretty quick things to try that work. This outing was 100% about focusing on the 60 foot. I'm gonna call it a success. My first pass, a 944 at 147.52. Wanted to see that good 147-ish mile per hour to know the engine was making good power. DA was probably around plus 1,000, give or take, throughout the day, which is pretty good for this area. The temperature was probably 65 or so air temperature. Humidity, it wasn't bad. The sun was out, so it heated the track up. And at Beech Bend, that's kind of what you want. You want cool air, but you want the track to be warm. That's how you're going to get your best performance. I was trying different tire pressures. I think I found one that's going to work pretty good for the car. Again, I'll go over all of that in the channel member video, and there's a link in the description if you want to check that out. But the mile per hour is there, a 944, so I knew I could get after a little bit harder. So I go for my second pass, and I usually gave about 30 minutes between runs. I think the car could probably go quicker than that, but by the time I got back to the pits, I'd pop the hood, let it cool off for a minute. I would review my data log, kind of decide on the game plan for my next pass, wait for the streetcar lanes to empty out. I also learned that I could jump in, because I have race tires on the car, I could jump into the race car lanes, and they're a little bit shorter, and they usually would do not prep where they spray and do the whole deal, but they would at least drag the track, and then I would try to get like mid-pack of the race car lanes for test and tune. And that way some of the race cars had gone down before me, and they had put a little heat in the track and a little rubber on the track, so I could get the benefits of those. So I pull up for my second pass. I did red light. I was working on the tree too. I did red light just barely by 0.08 of a second. So you can imagine how quick that was. Almost had like a really good light. The first pass, it was a 0.054, which I'm happy with. It was a sportsman tree, so you had the 3 yellows, like ding, 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 and then green. That's usually what they run at Beech Bend for test and tune. I would like to be able to practice a little bit more pro tree, because when I go to race classes, it ends up being pro tree a lot of times. And since I practice all the time on sportsman, I struggle a little bit. But anyway, red lit minus 0.087, but the 60 foot, 1.31. So that's exactly where I was trying to get to. 1.31, a low 1.3, I'm actually super happy with. If I could get it in the high 1.2s, I think I would be getting about as much as I can get out of the car. Now remember, I haven't done anything to it. I have not lightened it. I did run my skinny front wheels and tires, but I haven't done any of the other lightening up that you hear about some people doing. I have not locked out the cradle. It's still factory stock spark plugs. I haven't even readjusted the gap on those, which I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen misfires. And looking in the data log at one of my passes, I don't see any. I mean, all the way to the end of the run, like 1 or 2 cylinders have 1 misfire. So I don't know why some cars are having trouble with the spark plugs and mine is not. It's got the factory champion spark plugs and the gap is not 0.024 on them. I checked 2 or 3. It's like 0.030 and one was 0.032 and one was 0.031. So they're wider than I would have liked them to be, but I'm not having any problems. And it's one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm gonna kind of let that go and think about it over the winter. I'm hearing there's some different things going on with the spark plugs, like they were superseding them with a Bosch plug, and now I'm hearing they superseded them again with an NGK. So I want that to all settle down, and then I'll go down and talk to my friends at the local dealer down there at Freeland, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and just say, hey, what's the real story here? All right, so 131 60 foot, a 929 at 146.53. I'm ecstatic with that. That's getting a lot out of the car, low 9s, drove it to Bowling Green from Nashville, drove it home from Bowling Green to Nashville, and it's a low 9-second Demon 170 now. So I'm super happy with that. I will go over the logs. Like I said, this video, I usually do the normal content on Fridays. I'll do the members only content usually the following Wednesday. So if you're a channel member, make sure you got your notifications turned on if you're interested in seeing the data logs, how everything looked, and I'll give you the tips on what I've learned this car likes. That's it for the year. The last day Beech Bend is even open is again this upcoming Saturday, which will be tomorrow for you guys seeing this video. And I'm suspecting, based on what I'm seeing with the weather going to do, I'll be surprised if they're actually open. The high temperature is going to probably be too low, and the track will be tricky. And they sometimes cancel the test and tune days if it's going to be too cool for safety reasons. So that's probably it for the year. And unless I can come across a private track rental, which I am going to keep my eyes peeled for, it'll be March of next year before I can get back to the track to do some more testing. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedies_garage, as well as the website, www.speediesgarage.net. It was great meeting some new friends at the track this weekend, and I really appreciate all of you that came over to say hello. Hopefully, I'll see you out there.